This year, Forbidden Door takes place on June 25th in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, a joint pay-per-view event produced by All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And unlike last year's event, this year's event has started on the best foot forward because two groundbreaking, for real, dream matches have been announced for this upcoming year's event. Number one, and this was just announced a couple of days ago, I believe, Kenny Omega is defending his IWGP United States Championship against Will Ospreay. There's a match that people want to see, a rematch. If I remember correctly, they already had a 5-star match at Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year, January 4th of this year for New Japan Pro Wrestling. We get them to bring it right back, this time on an AEW pay-per-view in Canadian soil on AEW. And the match that literally broke the internet last week when it was announced that the American Dragon himself, Bryan Danielson, not only called himself the Desert, but he challenged Kazuchika Okada to a singles match. He challenged the Rainmaker in what is sure to be match of the year, hands down. Because Danielson has had bangers with MJF and with Kenny Omega and with many more in the past in AEW, but he has never faced off against Okada. And at this point, it doesn't matter what kind of story you build up for these two matches, what kind of story you build up for any of these matches. Forbidden Door in its essence is a pay-per-view for hardcore wrestling fans. Hardcore wrestling fans that don't necessarily care about story, that don't necessarily care about character development and storylines. They just want to see some hard-hitting, groundbreaking, high-flying action in a squared circle. And the two matches involving these four men already announced for Forbidden Door accomplish just that. And you know my opinion on this entire situation. You know I'm a big guy in terms of storytelling and character development. The narrative has to mean something for me to care in these types of situations. That's just the way I grew up as a wrestling fan, as a sports entertainment fan. That is just the way I was able to connect to wrestlers and to wrestling as a whole. But in this case, over the years, I can enjoy some serious, just straight up pro wrestling. And there is a story between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay already there. But like I said, it doesn't matter when it comes to Forbidden Door. It's a dream pay-per-view. It's a dream match pay-per-view. Hands down. That's the way you should book it. That's the way you should program this entire card around these matches. That way it doesn't become a dud like last year's Forbidden Door, which, again, was a fantastic show. AEW has this problem with too many matches on an event. 13 matches on last year's Forbidden Door pay-per-view. They've got to figure out how to just maximize and just have 7 or 8 matches per event and maximize each match on the card. I was always a fan of NXT back in the day, the Black and Gold, when they only had 4 to 5 matches on a 3-hour pay-per-view event. Those matches would be awesome because they would have 20, 30 minutes to go in the ring and do their stuff and do everything that they wanted to do in that ring. AEW, Tony Khan, you have to figure that out because 13 matches is a bit excessive, and we saw it at Double or Nothing. Again, another great pay-per-view, but too many matches tires the crowd out, not only in the arena, but also at home, because it seems like there's no end. But I digress. Forbidden Door isn't for the casual fans, and these two fantastic matchups already say enough about what this pay-per-view event should be going forward. Dream matches. Just, it's a promotional event between two companies. There's no point in just out of nowhere having people walk in on Dynamite, or having people walk in to New Japan Pro Wrestling and start some stories that are just going to last 3-4 weeks, and then they're going to dissipate and end completely after Forbidden Door, when what people want to see at this event is Ospreay versus Omega, Danielson versus Okada, MJF versus Tanahashi maybe. I don't know. I'm not really well versed in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I do know enough to realize what kind of treat that they're giving us with Omega and Ospreay, and especially, I still can't get over, Danielson versus Okada. I hope to give them an hour at Forbidden Door. That's why that's the main reason why I don't want too many matches on this Forbidden Door card, because you give Danielson and Okada time to cook, time to do what they do best in that squared circle. They're going to give you complete and utter magic in that ring. And I am completely there for it when it comes to Forbidden Door. So with that said, to all you wrestling fans who say that, and I've been a part of him in the past, that this pay-per-view and every pay-per-view AEW builds up at this point should be for the casuals, I might agree with you 5%, but I also understand that Forbidden Door is exactly what we need when it comes to dream matches between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW. And hell, throw in Ring of Honor, throw in Impact Wrestling, throw in as many companies as you can. Eventually one day, maybe WWE, I don't know, it might happen. It might not. So with that said, what do you think about the 2 matches so far announced for Forbidden Door at this year's event, June 25th, in Toronto, Ontario, Canada? Fantastic wrestling crowd as well. Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions for the card and for these 2 matches on the comment section below. In the meantime, tune in later on tonight to TBS for another episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite. We also have to find out if CM Punk is going to have a match at Forbidden Door this year. I believe he was injured during last year's event. He'll be back about less than a week before this event takes place. Forbidden Door this year takes place, so we'll just have to see who they pair him up with. And Tony Khan has an announcement on what the main event of the first Collision is going to be. I'm assuming it has to involve CM Punk in some way, shape, or form. We'll find out later on tonight. So with that said, I'm Alexis Carrillo, this has been Wrestling Talk, and I'll see you next time.